You're welcome to another edition of the Women's Series, where we capture developments and stories that impact women. It is the second week in the year 2021, and time is gradually ticking, and it is important that we set goals in terms of our finances. Now, setting goals is the key to financial success as well as independence, and our financial security is greatly dependent on our attitudes and beliefs about money and our willingness to take our financial future into our own hands. Now, therefore, today on the program, we will be looking at personal finance management in 2021 with Mrs. Elizabeth Ekpo, a writer and a chartered financial analyst. Thank you for joining us today on the program, Mrs. Elizabeth. It's great to have you join us, and a Happy New Year to you.
Thank you so much, Ayomide, for having me today. Happy New Year to everyone at Reproche.
Same to you. Now, let's quickly dive into what we have for today. So, considering the uncertainties in 2021, uncertainties as regards to the COVID-19 second wave, to the current economic recession we're still going through in the country, what would you say, or what should consist the financial goals for women this year?
Okay, thank you so much, Ayomide. I know 2020 was a hard year, and everybody's come to 2021 with so much expectations. But when it comes to financial goals, it will depend on what stage of your life you're in. It's important that you set goals, because goals put you on the path towards what you want to achieve, what you need to look, what you're going to be looking forward to for the year and the future years. So it's important you set goals, but that will also depend on what stage of your life you're in. If you're in a stage where you are just growing your wealth or accumulating your wealth, the goal you will set for yourself will be different from someone who is in a stage where they are set to retire and they're already thinking of transfer of wealth either to their children or for charitable purposes. So you need to determine for yourself what stage or season of your life you're in. But goals such as having an emergency fund, if last year taught us anything, is important. Is the importance of having something aside should life give you uncertainties or unexpected curves. So building an emergency fund should be one of the goals that everybody or every woman should set for themselves for the year 2020. If you do not have one, you want to build one. If you already have one, you now have to review it and be sure that it's enough for you for the either 3, 6, 1 year, depending on how long you want it to be, and depending on how long you want it to last for you, or should anything go wrong. And depending on your lifestyle as well, that would also determine how much you want to set aside for your emergency fund. So having an emergency fund definitely should be on someone's goal for the year. Another goal that one can choose to achieve will be thinking of either yourself, personal development, thinking of family goals, or thinking of legacy goals. So in terms of personal development, what are the things that you're looking out for yourself? What should drive your goals should be, what kind of financial future do you want for yourself? And what are your major financial concerns? So if you're a family person and you have kids, you should be thinking of how do I save for my kids, about the school fees. If your children are in a stage where they'll soon be going to either university or secondary school, what kind of schools do you want them to go to, and what is the cost of that? So those type of goals that you can set for yourself. As well as one of the other thing you want to set for yourself is, if you have debt, you have any debts, you want to pay off your debts. You want to try as much as possible to get out of debt in the year 2021. So that's a good goal to also set for yourself. So things like that are things that women can set for themselves depending on what stage they are in and what season of life they are in. And it's most important that your goals have to be smart. So they have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be achievable, they have to be realistic, and they must be time bound. So those are the kind of things you can use in setting goals for yourself for the year. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So moving on, bearing that in mind, what advice would you give, or what advice do you have for women who have issues with impulse buying and unnecessary spending in order to achieve their personal finance goals? Let me quickly make this reference or cite this example, sorry to say. In a situation where, so to say, you have an owambe or a party to attend, and then you're sort of having a friend come in to say to you that they probably want you to get like an ashwebi, And when you have to get an Ashwebi, it probably comes with the makeup, shoes and bags and whatnot. That's like an example of an impulse buying or necessary spending, so to say. So in a situation, if someone is caught up in such situation, what advice would you give to such a person?
So I think for people who are caught up in impulse buying, first they have to be truthful to themselves and acknowledge that they have this issue. Because really, if you don't think you have this issue, then you don't even see it as a problem that needs to solve. So one, you must acknowledge to yourself that I have this issue with impulse buying. And then once you have acknowledged that, then you are on the path towards resolving that issue. And then you ask yourself, what do I need to do? What are the things that I need to do? First, you must know that you have to learn to be disciplined. Discipline is important because even when you set those measures and steps that will help you resolve or solve this issue, if you are not disciplined to keep to them, then you just go back to where you're coming from. And in such a situations, you have to tell yourself. So I've seen some people who have made it as a goal for themselves to say, I am never buying Ashwebi again because I have so many. There's no color that you want to mention that I don't have in my box. So by setting that goal or that objective for themselves, no matter the Ashwebi or the one bed that is coming up, you already know that it is my decision. I've set this goal for myself. I don't buy Ashwebi. And so you can already tell your friends straightforward, I don't buy Ashwebi. What color is it? I have almost every color in my box and I can use it and I can blend in that day. So you must be able to set those kind of discipline and boundaries for yourself. And then you begin to shop with a list. As that's something else that can help. If you're an impulse buyer and whenever you enter the supermarket or the departmental store, you just pick up things that you didn't come to buy, or you even forget about the things you came there to buy and start buying other things that you don't really need. Then you have to start thinking of shopping with your list. A good habit to develop is to have a budget. So budgeting is also a good way to curb impulse buying. Another way to curb impulse buying is also to separate your funds. So if you don't have excess fund lying around in the spending account, then you will not be able to buy those things. So one way that has helped me to curb impulse buying is be able to separate my fund. I have an account where all my bills and all my essential expenses come from. And the money that there is just enough either for the period or for the month in which I am spending. And so there's really no much leeway room for me to get additional expenses on board, which I have not budgeted for before. So those are some ways in which you can help to curb impulse buying.
Right. So with discipline sometimes comes accountability partner. What would you say is the importance of having an accountability partner in the area of personal finance management? And while trying to get an accountability partner, what should be the criteria for getting one?
Okay, I think we first need to ask ourselves, who is an accountability partner? So an accountability partner is someone who holds you accountable and committed to the goal that you have set for yourself. That person can either be an individual or it could be a community or a group of friends. And so you want to ask yourself, why do I need an accountability partner? It will motivate you. It will keep you on track to achieving your goal. And then you have someone that is checking in on you regularly and holding you to your toes to achieving the goals that you have set for yourself. So the things you want to look for in an accountability partner is people who are looking to achieve similar goals as yourself. So if you are in a community of like minds and all of you are working towards achieving the same goal, then you can discuss your achievements and your challenges, and then you can use that to motivate yourself. And when you see other people achieving the same thing that you have set for yourself, it's also an additional motivation for you to go and achieve it. You also want to look at someone who has the time, or people who have time to do regular check-in with you. There's no point of having an accountability partner who is not checking in with you from time to time to ensure that you are on track towards meeting your goals. And you also, if it's a goal that you need someone who has experience with you, and you want to seek an accountability partner who has gone through that path, who has achieved what you are setting out to achieve, so that you can learn from their experiences and maybe not make the same mistakes in which they had made. And so they will guide you and advise you on how to achieve your goals. And when you face challenges, they can encourage you so that you don't throw in the towel, and also show you the end goal maybe to make you see the bigger picture on why you should keep pulling through to achieving the goal that you have set for yourself. So those are some things you need to look out for when you are talking about an accountability partner. But it's really important that you have someone who is holding you to your toes, who is reminding you and checking in on you to ensure that you achieve the goals that you have set for yourself.
Right, it is important to have an accountability partner just as a means for checking us on how we spend our money. Right, what are the financial products that women can invest in for wealth creation in 2021, considering the fact that quite a number of people want to grow their wealth this year? I mean, on Twitter, you see quite a number of people saying that they want to increase their money this year. That's like their goal for 2021. So what financial products that are there for women to invest in for more wealth creation in year 2021?
So when we're talking about investing, there are a myriad of investment options that women can exploit and take advantage of to grow their wealth or meet their financial goals. But again, you have to put it in the perspective of where you are in life and what is available to you at that stage in your life. So we might be going to the same destination, but we might not take the same route. So you as an individual have to look at your unique circumstances and situations. So if you are someone who needs regular cash flow, so you need regular cash flow from your investments, you need money to pay school fees from time to time from the money you are investing, then you are looking at investments that pay dividend, that pay regular cash flow like bonds or dividend paying stocks, or commercial real estate that bring in rental income on a yearly or on a monthly basis. And that goal will be different from someone who has money that he just wants to set aside for the next 2-3 years for just capital appreciation and is not really bothered about regular cash flows to fund his day-to-day needs. So everything depends on what stage you are. How much wealth do you have? So for someone who has so much wealth, he can afford to take some risks and even invest in, say, cryptocurrency that is now the trendy thing. But then that is a very risky investment. And if it's not money that you can afford to lose, you don't want to take those kind of risks. So those are the kind of things that you need to look out for. But there are different investment options. There are short-term instruments such as treasury bills, fixed income securities, bonds, commercial papers. You have real estate, both commercial real estate or non-commercial real estate, which you can invest in depending on what your investment goal is or what your financial goal is. You also have agri commodity investment. That is also an option for people who that will fit into their risk profile. So you have to understand what is your risk, what kind of risks are you willing to take. Some people are ready to take very high risks, but some people are so risk averse. I have a friend who tells me, look, the stock market is not for me because I can't withstand the volatility that comes with it. So you have to understand yourself and what stage of life you are in to know what investment option you want to take on at that time. So you might be in a stage where you're not able to take on risks. Maybe 2020 we're in a situation where we're not able to take on risks, but you have come into so much money now. And 2021, you have to reevaluate your risk appetite. Maybe you are now in a situation where you can afford to take on more risks to grow your wealth. And so it's okay to begin to seek out those riskier investment options that you can use to grow your wealth. But most importantly, it is important that you are properly diversified across various investment options so that your risk is ultimately reduced and your expected return, you can maximize it.
Now for mothers, you would agree with me that as much as mothers are trying to invest personally for themselves, it is important that they also inculcate these financial habits in their children. Now, how can mothers inculcate financial habits in their children, like savings or investing?
Well, so it's important that we begin to teach ourselves, our children, and help them develop good money habits and have the financial discipline that they will need to survive in future, because the child of today will become the mother of tomorrow. So whatever he learns today is what he will also may want to pass on to his own or her own children. And so one way to teach children is leadership by example. Children really learn by observing what their parents or the people around them do. So if you want your children to be financially disciplined, you also have to be financially disciplined because they are watching you. You can't be a chronic debtor and expect that your child will grow and become someone that doesn't think taking on debt is normal, that thinks taking on debt is not normal. You understand? So the kind of life you live, one good way is to be a good example to your children. Another way is to regularly enroll them for financial education. These days, we have all sorts of financial boot camp for kids where they are taught about money, taught about investing at a very early age. So you want to take advantage of that for your kids. Another way is, which is the traditional way, is buy a piggy bank for your child. The child has a piggy bank. He knows that he has to save every money that comes. One way I encourage my children is with giving them a piggy bank. You know, they need to get some money to save. So how do they get that money that they want to put in their piggy bank? Money from gifts from uncles and aunties or family or friends that visit. Another way is I make them do their chores, and sometimes I pay them for doing their chores, and they get really excited when they are paid for doing their chores. So they come and tell me, "Mommy, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. How much am I getting paid today?" And so for every money they make, they put it in the piggy bank. 2 years ago, when there was no lockdown, we still could go out. I remember that at the end of the year, when my kids opened their piggy bank, they had some good money, and I was like, "What do you want to use it for?" They're like, "Oh, I want to go to the amusement park." And they're really happy with themselves that they could pay for themselves to go to the amusement park, because I could have said, "Oh, sorry, I don't have money to take you to the amusement park." And they're like, "Oh, I have money in my piggy bank." So that's a good way to encourage children to save and begin to get them into the habit of saving and investing, and teaching them about these things at an early age.
Right, thank you very much for answering these questions and doing justice to this question. It was great having you to talk about our personal finance management. Now, with all of this being said, it is important that we take our personal finance more seriously and plan accordingly. Now, ultimately, the most important step is to gain a thorough appreciation for what constitutes a complete financial plan. And it is also vital to remember that education should never stop when it comes to money management, whether by reading up to date on publications, consulting experts, or simply staying on top of any news and data relevant to your finances. Now, it is vital to continue to learn and adapt. And that will be all for today's edition of the program. Thank you for joining us today. If you've got questions or comments, kindly send a mail to programs@proshareng.com or business@proshareng.com. We will be glad to hear from you. You can also visit our website on www.proshareng.com to get more information on your personal finances and updates from our news stories and videos. And you can choose to follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. Until next week, thank you for watching, and please stay safe.